As a social media marketer or an entrepreneur, you spend so long on social media platforms. And actually you spend so long creating the content that sometimes you just avoid that part of your business. But actually doing that, you're leaving so many leads on the table and you're missing so many sales for your business, all right? So this is something that's close to me and passionate because I know how annoying it is to create content. I know how long it takes to create content for your social media, especially with YouTube. So carry on watching now, and I'm going to give you some super tips on how you can create your social media content quickly and easily. Welcome back, guys. My name is Damien Maruth and I help and coach social media marketers and entrepreneurs on how to use social media platforms the right way. Increase your traffic, build your email list, and ultimately get more sales. One of the biggest hurdles in social media marketing is time. So when people even start to think about sitting down to create a piece of content for their platforms, straight away it's time. Time plays on their mind. Do I have enough time? Okay, so when you just start thinking about why do you get into this mode, why does this anxiety start making you think if you have the time or not? Okay, so ask yourself how long you're actually spending each week to create social media content. So if you're spending 3 to 4 hours per week, that's a long time to be spending on social media content. That's a lot of time you could be spending on other aspects of your business, like your email marketing, okay? Things that you need to be physically doing, because the social media side is something that should be passive for you. It should be out there for others to be gaining the value from, okay? So I want you to try something. And this has worked for me because I'm quite passionate right now about putting more and more content out there, because that's my goal for 2020, is to increase my consistency across all my platforms, especially YouTube. So I'm going to be starting doing that more with YouTube. And I came across a great tip on how I can do this and how I can put out more content more quickly. Okay. And that's to set yourself a shorter deadline. Okay. Now, what do I mean about this? Deadlines are something which we use across all aspects of our lives, okay? Especially business. So let's say you work in a job and you've been given a task for a report that you've got to write up or something similar to that, okay? And you have a certain deadline, okay? You have a certain amount of time which you've got to do this in. Now, 99% of the time, people use up that time, people use up the deadline time which you've been given, because why would you do it any quicker if do it before the deadline? If you've got this amount of time, then you're going to use that amount of time. If somebody gives you a week to do it, heck, you're going to be spending the first part of that week not worrying about it, right? Because you've got a week to do it. But let's say that deadline was 2 days. What would you do? You get it done in the 2 days, right? You'd start working on day one because you know that day two will be pushing it, right? So it does work, and it's amazing when you cut down your deadlines. Naturally, you actually start to get the job done and you start being more consistent with your content, okay? So set yourself a deadline for, say, 2 videos or 3 videos per week on your YouTube channel, okay? Now, when you do that, set yourself an amount of time which you want to be spending on creating the content for that video, okay? Look at where you are now. I'm not asking you to completely halve your time in creating this content, okay? But just chop off a little bit amount of time on how much time you're spending on this content, okay? And then set that as a deadline. And you'll be surprised that you start to hit these deadlines. And as the weeks and months go by, start to chop this deadline down. And then naturally you become faster, okay, and more consistent with your social media posting. My next tip is just a crazy game changer, okay? It goes really well with the first tip, And actually, it's something which you could have been doing the whole time. If you have so many videos out there or so much content out there, you will be surprised on how much you've really missed out by not doing this next step, okay? So the next step is for you to stack your content. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is to do your blog and your videos and your podcast all at the same time. Sounds crazy, right? So look at it this way, okay? So you're recording a video on YouTube, okay? And you have a podcast as well. But you record this video on YouTube, you edit it, you do make it all fancy, you upload it onto YouTube, and then that's it, it's done. And then you start to think, right, I'm going to go and do some content for my podcast now. So you sit down, you start writing your content, blah, 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 blah. You do your podcast. And then before you know it, twice the amount of time has gone by which you've been spending on your content, right? Now that first video which you uploaded could have been your podcast, okay? Record your podcast at the same time as the video and double it up, stack your content, okay? You're going to get just as much use out of the podcast as you are with the YouTube video, okay? And mention the podcast in your YouTube video, okay? So say this is now available on my podcast. You can listen to it on the podcast, and vice versa. On your podcast, when you upload it to your podcast, you can say, this is available on my YouTube channel, okay? So make it work together. Same with your blog. If you have a blog, go ahead and use the video that you've created, okay? Go back through your video. If you're forgetting what you're saying, just go back through your own video, okay? Take notes, and then you can create a blog around that content. And then in the description in your videos on YouTube, you can put the full details of this video is in my blog, okay? So if people prefer to read rather than watch video, boom, it's there on your blog. So you've already got the content for your blog. You've already got the content for your podcast. So double up your content and multi-channel on this content creation. Make life a lot easier for you. And hey, you cut down those deadlines by applying this step. So the next step which you need to be taking, and which you're going to come by naturally, is where do I start? Okay. So it naturally becomes harder to think about what to write for your blog, your videos, your podcast. Okay. What to post on your Facebook, Instagram and whatnot. Okay. The more you know about a specific topic or a specific niche, okay, the more you know and the better you get, it actually, believe it or not, becomes harder to decide what to post, okay? What content to put out there. And give me a thumbs up or like or comment below if this is you. If you're a master in your field, but you just don't know where to start. You're ripping your hair out and you think, I don't know what to put out there today, okay? The solution is to listen to your audience, because at the end of the day, you don't decide what content to put out there. Your audience decides that for you, because what are you doing? You're solving a problem. Because at the end of the day, that's why you're giving the value, because this value is sourced by your audience. It's what people want. You're putting out there what people want and you're solving a problem. Okay? So listen to your audience. They will tell you what they're craving, okay? Stand back, look and listen to what your audience needs, okay? Then that will give you the inspiration to create the content. Or if you've already got that content, light bulb moment, you can go back and think, oh, I've got a video on that, or I did a blog post or podcast on that, and go back, okay? Take the content from it and repurpose it to what your followers your audience wants. And lastly, my last tip for creating content quickly and easily for your social media is to obviously create the right content, because if you don't put the right content out there, or you swap and change, guess what? Your audience is just simply going to leave you. They're not going to continue to watch. They're going to unsubscribe. They're going to unfollow. They're going to not listen to your podcast anymore. They're going to unsubscribe from your email list, okay? And actually, to do that, it's quite easy for them. Okay, so the social media platforms make it easier to unfollow a person, right? So you need to keep them engaged and keep them following and listening to you by putting the right content out there. So let's recap. Tip number 1 was to set yourself deadline. Okay, look at where you are right now. Look at how long it's taken you to create the content and set yourself different deadlines and chop those deadlines down. Number 2 was to repurpose your content, okay? Like we've discussed, if you've already got a piece of content out there, repurpose it, put it into your blog. Take the content from your blog, make it into a video. Record your podcast at the same time as a video. Repurpose your content. And the next tip was to listen to your audience. Find out what they need, find out their problems by asking them what they want to see next. Which leads on to the last tip, which was creating the right content, or else you're just going to simply lose your audience, lose your followers. Okay, guys, I hope these tips have helped. Do go ahead and use them. It will help you with your content creation and putting out more great content onto your social media platforms. So I'm Damien Maruth. Please do make sure you smash that subscribe button. Tap the bell so you don't miss any more of my videos, and I shall see you on my next video.